More medications, less health. Something's broken. Traditional medicine manages symptoms, but true healing addresses root cause. I'm Josh Rimini, pharmacist turned healer. At Beyond the Pills, we merge ancient wisdom with modern day science to inspire you through stories of transformation, practical trainings, and holistic healing. Join me and other practitioners as we guide you towards vibrant health, body, mind, and spirit, and move beyond symptom management into true healing. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Beyond the Pills. I'm Josh Rimini. I'm the pharmacist turned healer, and I'm here today with Dr. Diana Londono. Hello, doctor. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing really well. Thank you for the invitation and for the ability to have a great conversation today and speak to your audience. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to read your little bio here because it's an amazing bio, and I wanted people to hear like a little bit about who you are, and then we'll talk to you about that. But Dr. Diana Londono is a board-certified urologist and one of the 10% of urologists in the U.S. who's also a woman, and also the 0.5% that is Latino and also a woman. So she's a niche, like she's that unicorn. I love these folks. Dr. Londono is originally from Mexico City, and she received all her education in the Los Angeles area, going to Claremont Mechanic College for her undergrad, and then attending UCLA for her medical school training. She finished a 6-year residency in urology at Kaiser in Los Angeles. She has experienced burnout twice, which I can't wait to get into, which led her to write and speak about it, to raise awareness and help others. She's published multiple articles in Medscape, Doximity. These are places where articles are written for medical providers, right? Kevin MD, Men's Health, Giddy.com, Medmemic.com, and others. She's also a contributor author in books called Thriving After Burnout and Medic SOS. Her burnout journey led her to become a certified life coach and founder of physiciancoachsupport.com. This free and confidential one-on-one peer support platform for physicians led by certified physician life coaches is available 7 days a week via Zoom. And in 2022, she received the LA County Medical Association Physician Leadership Award for all of that work. She is an international speaker and guest on multiple podcasts, now in the Beyond the Pills, discussing wellness, boundaries, ego, humanity and medicine, mindset, and mindfulness. She has also been featured on TV on Univision, Telemundo, Mundo Fox, CNN Latino, KCET, and ABC News as a health consultant discussing urology topics. Oof. She is also a Reiki master and a pranic healing student and the mother of 2 determined and joyful, beautiful little girls, 6 and 8-year-olds, Daniela and Paloma. Welcome, Dr. Diana. That is amazing. We have a lot in common because I hear doctor, turn this, turn that, turn this, went from here to here. So let's talk. Let's talk about this. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's like turn this to that. I think we are all multidimensional beings. I think, we're not just one thing or nothing or this thing or that thing. I mean, we have so many dimensions. And I think we try to just say, well, I'm this, I'm only this, or, we don't integrate ourselves every day in what the skills we have or our passions that we have. And I think when we do that, we sort of lose a little bit of ourselves. We tend to think like, oh, in this job or in this setting, I'm only going to sort of show this part of me. And again, I think that sort of causes us to have some anxiety, a little bit of depression symptoms, because we're not being truly ourselves. And, as you mentioned, I am one of the very few women in urology and even less Latinas in urology. And I think when we don't sort of embrace that and just show up as our authentic selves and our full selves, then we sort of start shrinking down and we start sort of losing ourselves. And I think that is a shame because we bring so much to the table as our unique selves that we all have, our talents, our skills, our insights, our thoughts. And I think it's so important to really embody that and be that, and not, again, sort of shrink down in different settings because we feel that we need to shy away from who we are.
Yeah, it's such a great place to start because it's the journey, not the destination, right? It's not I'm a doctor, now I'm this. It's the journey of becoming your whole, the person you're here to be. And it's just all along the way. It's the way I look at it is like this 5D puzzle, right? There's this piece over here that you didn't have. Now you have. Now it's more complete. And it becomes this path to wholeness through that space. So tell us a little bit about your journey, because it's a unique one because it's you. And it's the way I look at it is who I've become today is just this further continuation of the development of that, of who I am and who I'm here to serve and become in this life. And so tell us a little bit about your story. Like you're a urologist, but you also have these other pieces that make you very special and unique in your own way. And so talk to us a little bit about that journey.
I think the journey, really is, like you said, just trying to identify things that, bring you wholeness, bring you closer to maybe discovering who you are here to be and who to serve. And I always have felt that, I'm here to help others and, sort of felt that, I'm a physician, but we can definitely help others in any skill we have. I mean, you could be a Starbucks and be the checkout person and do that with so much love and emotional labor and, almost like dignity and pride to be the best, barista you can be and just be kind to others. So you can definitely help and serve people in any capacity. As a physician, I really do take that role a little bit deeper because we are healers and teachers. And I think for, what I've learned through my training is we sort of get away a little bit from being true healers and teachers. Our appointments, our healthcare system is so short and so transactional that it just becomes a transcriber, it becomes a prescriber, it becomes a technician, and we sort of lose that really important component, which is to teach our patients, what is going on with their body, their situation, what even the medications we prescribe with the surgeries, like explaining clearly, what it is about, what can happen, why are we doing things. And that is crucial to understand and to really get better is having that knowledge about our bodies and how one thing leads to the next and how trauma and how stress and anxiety all can lead to many diseases. And if not, they can definitely make them worse. So when we really take that role seriously, I think we can reverse a lot of the diseases we see. And I also think we have to be healers, again, not just putting Band-Aids and not really looking at the root cause of a lot of problems that are getting us to where we are today, with so many rising levels of anxiety, depression, suicide, cancer. I mean, we have this amazing technology in the United States and, cutting edge this and that, but somehow our numbers of our health are not really reflecting that. So I think somewhere we are missing the mark. And we need to probably step back and reevaluate, like, what are we truly doing and what can we do better to really, again, get back to healing and, health and not just disease management.
That's a great part of this because I think a lot of the rooting around these conversations now are really, there's a difference between the sick care model or what the less sick model is, right? Symptom resolution, I call it the pill for the ill approach, right? Like the way and manner in which we practice men is diagnose, treat, give them the medicine, but not talk about how all the systems interplay and not move it from, the whole systems base. It's just treating the body parts. And then I love what you said is about like getting to the root cause of it, right? Why are you here in the beginning? It's not you have something like, so talk to a little bit of people about your, it wasn't always that way for you, right? Like it wasn't this one, or maybe it was like you grew up that way. That was your way of being. For me, it was this journey of, I had to learn some lessons. I had to learn I call it the West world now, what the West world medicine was as a pharmacist and a cancer survivor, and the medicine's fixing me, but really it wasn't. It was these other pieces that I've learned through my own journey. So tell people you went to medical school, right? You went through the whole process. You went through the residency. You got through that. Was there a turning point in your career or your life where you learned it this way, but it wasn't quite what you thought, and then it brought you down? Because not many physicians treat the way we're talking these days, right? There's this symptomology, lessen the symptom, cut you up, fix you, put you back, but not really getting you where you need to be, right? I want to hear this story come out of you. Like, was there a tipping point in your personal life which moved you into the professional life, or was it this professional life that didn't serve you that moved you into these other places?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're going through training, you're just trying to learn like incredible amounts of information so quickly that, you're just trying to understand, okay, what is the disease that we're trying to figure out what you have, and how can we heal it with the information we have and the skills and the technology. So, I think going through training, it's just such vast amount of information that it's a little bit challenging to start, thinking, outside of it a little bit, because you're just trying to, get this information so quickly to, again, do a good job to take care of people, because that's what you're there to do. So there's definitely a time where you're just trying to learn, what to do and recognize the pattern so that you can get, the right diagnosis and truly try to help people. I mean, I think that's a goal. Everybody, I think, really truly wants to help other people. That's why we're here. However, I mean, I think it was definitely for me when I went through burnout, just realizing, burnout, first of all, it's, prevalent across all the walks of life. Whether you're in the C-suite, whether you're a pharmacist, whether you're a teacher, a physician. I mean, the whole world is in chronic stress, which leads to burnout. And if we see why people are coming to the physician, primary care doctors especially, up to 70 to 80 or more % of all the visits are stress related. But we are sort of not taught that. And at UCLA, I mean, it's a great school, but I was not taught the effects of stress, the impact of stress. I was definitely not taught the role of trauma and how that impacts our everyday life and our wellness or our disease. And even like nutrition, which is basic. I mean, food is either your disease or your medicine. And that is huge in all of our diseases, but we don't really talk about that. We say, okay, you have high sugar or diabetes or this. Here's a pill for that. But how much time are we spending to say, okay, show me what you're eating every day? Is drinking 6 sodas a day helpful for anything in your sugar control or your weight or your everything, your microbiome? So we're not talking about that at all. And we're just adding pills and not looking at, maybe if you get rid of this, or maybe if you add this, this will make you feel better. Are we talking about like your movement every day? Like, we want to call it exercise, but it's really about movement. How is that in your everyday life incorporated? How is your sleep? How is your stress? How is your water intake? I mean, these are basic things. And then eliminating things that we know are carcinogenic. We in the society don't want to talk about it. It's kind of Puritan, but like alcohol is a known carcinogenic. It means it causes cancer, but it's just so prevalent. And we just, drink it up all day, smoking and stress. And, stress can be just as bad as smoking a pack of cigarettes. I mean, that is the lethal part of it. And so is lack of connection and isolation. So these other components really affect our health or our disease. And when we don't address that, again, we're just sort of putting Band-Aids. So when I went through burnout, it was realizing, wow, this is truly has an effect and an impact in my life. I am feeling physical manifestations and diseases from the stress. Your hair falls out, you're grinding your teeth, you develop asthma at 42. And that's an inflammatory response from, chronic inflammatory, hormones in your body. You have debilitating chest pain. You got rheumatoid factor elevated, which is seen in autoimmune diseases. I mean, you're attacking your own body with the stress hormones just bathing your body. So if you then are in that state, again, all these diseases start happening and all these medications have to be added and all these doctor appointments have to be added. But if we kind of go back to the root cause and address the stress, or trauma or whatever's happening, and then really focus on that and how to, basically go back and reroute your nervous system and then heal it and maintain it till that you're in a different frequency of not stress and fight or flight, but you're in a more calm state. All these things really do go away, like as it did in my own body. So understanding that, because I didn't learn that in medical school, diving into it, understanding the power of our mind, our thoughts, the power of being, in control of them and not being a victim, but being really the maker of our reality. And that can come from coaching, and that's kind of coaching 101, but then it has to go for me a little bit deeper, going deeper into a purpose and, gratitude. And these are spiritual things, that we can tap into to, one, get us out of burnout, two, maintain us in a better place where we're not fighting, with everybody else, and really just changing the way we start our day and continue our day with a different lens and a different mindset.
So many amazing things. It's just like the mirror, right? The mirror that comes is like, I've been talking to folks around wellness made simple, like these things that the root cause medicine, right? Getting patients. So I'm envisioning going to the urologist and then having her talk to me about what's going on in my life and the stresses involved. Because you became a life coach, right? Life coach is lifestyle medicine. You hit it. Food is medicine or it's a poison. It's just pick one. You talked about, I always say movement is really important, right? Like we talking about, like, it's not just diet and exercise, it's movement. We sit so much. I kid with my clients and patients about like, hey, if you're not going to move regularly, you might as well smoke a pack a day. It's better for you than not moving, right? So movement is like, I just say sitting is the new smoking. Like getting them up, moving, like these simple things, sleeping right. All of these are what? Low cost, no cost things. And like, yes, coaching 101 or life coaching or health coaching is putting the patient in the driver's seat of their own health. So I loved how you talked about all of those things. And then you went a step further, right? We're talking about this as a purposeful, driven life, right? Getting to that root cause of why it's all important to begin with. Like I had a lunch today. We were talking about we are divine bodies living in this human experience of our five senses. We're here to sense this experience, but we are the creators, right? There isn't this dude in the sky that's telling us what to do and all this stuff. It's like we are the creators and we're aligned with that. And so you teach people how to do that. Is that part of like your practice, or is it something you do on like a different side of your space? Because you're a life coach, you're a Reiki master, you're a urologist.
Yeah, I think, again,
all of those, right? So tell us a little bit about like how you bring people to those things, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to the beginning. It's like you don't have to sort of separate it. It's all, when I talk to a patient, I mean, they're sort of coaching principles, and it's like, going through those conversations, but using sort of like a coaching lens and just saying, like, well, does this make sense, or is this true? Which is just sort of how you would coach somebody, but still taking care of their medical needs and making sure the immediate urgent things are taken care of. And again, we're not saying you're not going to have medication if you have an infection or this or that, but then kind of when sort of the dust settles, really going back to prevention and what can we do to prevent and what can we do for maintenance. So much of what I do in my practice is talking about prevention, prevention of infections, prevention of kidney stones. And this is all basically diet related, or many easy changes you can do to your routine to, again, prevent all these things and not be reactive and just treating. But like, why is this happening? If, for example, for women who are menopausal, they have no more estrogen. So like, what is an easy thing we can do for these women that can be safe and it does not cause cancer or dementia or blood clots, but we can give to women to prevent infections? Because once, again, you have no more estrogen, everything changes in your body, including the skin, the tissue, and the vulva around the urethra. So can we give a medication that is safe, which is called estradiol or Premarin, whichever you choose, to really help these women just stop these infections, which can become a life-altering infection. And even if you don't get sick to go to the hospital, just having one infection or UTI is horrific. So again, what can we do to prevent? What can we talk about? Fluids. Are you drinking enough? Again, going back to the basics. Are we avoiding constipation? What's a good way to avoid constipation? Well, water for sure, but movement. Again, it's going to help everything in your life when you have these basic pillars of sleeping well, drinking water, moving, in your overall health. So it's really going back to the root, and it's just really taking the time with people to talk about these things that are really not just important for kidney stones, but they're important for, your overall health. So that has to be kind of part of it and weaved into when we talk to people and we take care of them. And the other part too, as a physician, is really, we talked about, teaching and healing, but it's really about listening. And so much of what people want in life truly is to be acknowledged and listened to. And that's just part of what I do, is I really just listen, like, what is your concern? And, honestly, a lot of times it's not even medical. It's like my spouse just died, or I'm having trouble, with money this month. And just listening to people and their concerns is so healing that we have sort of lost that art of listening. So I think that's a big component of things that I do.
Oh, that one resonates so well, because I was just in a place this weekend. We talked about it as well. It's like a very good reminder. It's listening without the intention to fix, right? Because I think we're trained especially from a physician's perspective, right? You're diagnosing, you're listening for the problem so you can tell them what to do to fix it, versus just listening to listen, right? And that is so impactful. Yes, everyone, this human experience is people want to be seen. They want to be heard. And I don't know about you, but that's really where the impact starts on the patient, healer relationship, is I'll have an hour session talking about them and their history. And for me, if I can help you where you're at, but what is like you said, it's what's going on here. It's you're just listening. You're not there to listen to tell them what's wrong to fix it. You're just there to listen. And that in itself is therapeutic. And so I wanted to pause that a little bit, because that's so powerful, that I think as physicians, as healers, as healthcare practitioners in this new world is a step we sort of forget at the 7-minute visit. It's like, boom, boom, boom. I just got to get you out of here. Let's see if I can help. And it's not our fault, right? The physicians or the healthcare system is rooted against us too, because you talked about it. I do want to talk about burnout in healthcare, because this is something that I'm very passionate about on the pharmacy side, is the burnout with pharmacists. I'm actually doing a program specifically for pharmacists to reverse burnout, because I feel it's like the step before the step. Like you said, 80% of people that go to the doctor is rooted around the one word, stress. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things we're aware of, but there's no action to do, right? And so awareness is key, and then moving people through. So again, so many nuggets that I love the synergy and the complementary nature of this conversation, and lots of them that I have is it's all rooted around the same process, whether you're a urologist or a pharmacist, or I talked to a radiologist the other day on another episode where he's talking about mindfulness in medicine as a radiologist, because it's this whole piece is, I call it the heal the healers, right? We all have our own healing journey. So let's talk a little bit about that, this burnout in healthcare, because I know you've started and you've created something for physicians to have an avenue here. But I want you to talk to the listeners about because physicians in healthcare, we have one of the highest suicidal ideations, because you go to school, like you said, there's so much information. It's a floodgate, and it's almost a badge of honor if you're working 120 hours a week, right? That's what you do, because there's all this stuff to do in a short period of time, and then they throw you out. And then all of a sudden, it keeps piling up into the place where there is this specific space where we call burnout. So talk to the listeners about this burnout and why it's so important to you to help other practitioners in this space.
Yeah,
but I want to get ahead of it. I want you to talk to people about what the current reality is today and why we're doing what you do to help it.
Yeah, so this is a great question because many people are not aware of what's happening. And, they feel sort of they go to the doctor or they see a nurse or they'll go to the hospital and they sort of see the impact, they see the care or the lack of care they get or the lack of empathy. And they sort of don't understand why it's happening. And it's happening because when you're in burnout, one of the signs and symptoms are that you're, a little bit more reactive, you're angry, you're short, you're not going to have that compassion, you're going to have this depersonalization, which means that the person in front of you is no longer a human being, but it's sort of like a diagnosis or a person to get through. And it's just part of what happens in chronic stress that is unmanaged. And then obviously you'll start cascading into anxiety, depression, and suicide, ideations and suicide. So for physicians, up to 65% of some of the specialists are in burnout. 25%, have anxiety or depression. 13% have suicidal ideations, and more than 400 every year, are dying by suicide, which, is terrible for obviously them, their family, the community they take care of. And just even before you get to suicide or the ideation of it, the quality of care you're going to be giving. And when you're in stress or burnout, errors are going to happen. That is a fact that nobody wants to talk about, but it's going to happen. And so when you are a patient and those errors are happening to you or your family, it truly matters. And we are all patients. I recently was really sick with an infection, one from a complication that can happen, with procedures, yes, but then definitely errors that were made. And, I am a physician, and then you get to see the healthcare system and the problems where, things could probably be improved. And then you start realizing can we do better? And so there's definitely a systemic problem. There are things that truly are in ways out of our control, but there's definitely many things that are in our control. And the mindset of getting a badge of honor of never taking rest, overworking, never saying no. And these are skills that we all need to learn, whether you're a physician or not, to learn to have boundaries, to say no, to take time to rest, and to get out of this culture of go, 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 and never stopping. And that, sleep is when you die. And who needs?
Just think of that.
This badge of honor of I'll just drink more coffee and I'll just stay up. This is pervasive, not just with physicians, but we're definitely not modeling healthy behaviors either. So when we don't know and model that, then how can we even teach that to our patients? Because we're not.
That's the big piece that I think it's the paradox or the ironicity of all of it is how do you be a healer if you're in burnout? You can't. How do you be empathetic and take care of the person if you're stuck in this system that rewards more visits, rewards quantity over quality, and it's stuck in the we don't make money if we don't see this many people, and you got to do this and you can't do that. So I have such compassion for healthcare providers because we're stuck in that space where we got into this to help people, right? That's really what it is. We're served to help people, and then they're stuck in the space of I can't help people because I can't help myself because I'm in this loop. So talk to people a little bit about what you're doing with that, because now that we're more aware. And so one thing is hey, if you're not a provider listening to this, but you're a patient or you're someone that goes to the doctor on occasion or whenever, is understanding it from their point of view too is important. Is they're coming in hot, right? A lot of the times it's boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden, I always just say, how can I help them? Right? It's oh, do you need a break? Can I help you here a little bit? It's just so tell us a little bit about, so I hope that helps people in general, understand this is a thing. So I love the heal the healers component, right? We need to get ourselves, I call it the do you first philosophy, right? Helping ourselves. So you have a portal, you have a place for physicians to go if they're noticing they're in this place and they want to start weaving their way out?
Yeah, I mean, I founded something called physiciancoachsupport.com, which is a platform for physicians that want support, and it is going through a transformation right now. So we are changing sort of how we will continue to serve our colleagues. But definitely right now, at least it's going to be just a directory right now for physicians that want resources or want to hire a coach that can help with all these things that we talked about that get us to burnout, like lack of boundaries or a mindset or, really prioritizing ourselves. And I think coaching is definitely can be life-saving. I mean, so it can be therapy, and so it can be speaking to a spiritual guide or a pastor or all that. I mean, all these is not just one or the other. But the important thing is getting to a point of realizing like you are worthy, you deserve care. You got to stand up for yourself, and nobody's going to do it for you. And we have a voice and we have power. And until people realize that and sort of move out of fear, because, not only physicians, but, the whole world, and especially the last week, we are living with fear. We are living with division. And when we continue that, it's not helpful for anybody. We got to not only vote, but every day do our life out of love. Like, how can we be loving? How can we be kind? And really navigate our decisions, our thoughts from that space instead of the fear, the hate, the division, that you're terrible. I mean, that is not helping anything or anybody. When we have different opinions and how we may not see eye to eye, but we can still have compassion for the other. We can still sort of step back and realize we don't have to get dragged down in the negativity, because there's a lot of it, but there's also a lot of really good things. There's good people. There's, people trying to just change the world in a positive way. And so if we focus on that, if we amplify that, and we are that, then slowly everything starts to change. But when we only focus on the terrible, that is not helpful. I mean, we can all sit and realize there's so many problems in medicine and get dragged down and get more depressed and get more hopeless. But when we start just saying, okay, what do I have control over, which is ourselves and our reactions? What can I do today? Again, even a 7-minute visit, can I be kind? Can I listen for 2 minutes? Can I just put somebody at ease? We can do things that we are, under our control that can really make a difference. Mm-hmm. And again, we have to, within the system, either learn to work with it, to, again, make those changes to change the culture, because we are the culture. We can't blame that there's a culture out there that is not loving and puts badges of honor for overworking and all that. Like, we have to start saying, I want to be different. I want to do it differently, and start being that change. And then slowly people start getting the courage to also take care of themselves and do things differently. And we have to see, what's different from 15, 20 years ago. Well, 15, 20 years ago, most physicians were employed, on their own. They were self-employed. They had their own practice. Now everything has changed to 70% plus being employee and being owned by private equity or big systems. And so that changes the relationship between a patient and a physician. There's a lot of middlemen in between.
Yes.
Telling you what to do, telling you what not to do, having control of like what medications we can give, how much time you spend with people. I mean, we actually may not have that control when we're in those systems. So then for us physicians, we have to realize, like, do we want to continue in this circus? Do we want to do things differently? Do we want to take back our power control? Because, without physicians, there's not like, who's going to take care of people? So we have a lot of power. We have to just realize that, and we have to start using our voice and stepping up and saying, like, this is not working and we got to do a different way. And there's many ways to do things, but I think we have to support each other. We have to learn from each other. We have to, again, help each other and really amplify the good and the things that are working and continue to do those things.
Beautiful. I love be the change you want to see and change, right? Do you first, like, be the change you want, right? And then also saying the collective voice. I love it. Yeah. We can't help people if there's no doctors, right? And I love that. This is a new world. This is a world of, pharmacies like mirrors that. Like, we've been in there, like, there used to be all these community pharmacies, and now there's all these middlemen and pharmacy benefit managers and people telling us, and then all of a sudden they're not paying us to even dispense medication anymore, and we're losing money. And all of a sudden it becomes, it's like, But if we don't have these providers, there is no care. So it's almost like we've tipped the scales over, and now we're kind of like picking up some pieces. But I kind of think that's where real change happens.
Yeah. We have to see the dark to get to the light. And there's always a new beginning, a new light. And sometimes it has to get so bad to like really like wake up and awaken. And then we could say that with anything. Was it COVID? Was it election? It can get so bad that hopefully people, it's like they get shaken. They awaken.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's really true though. It's like, for me in the pharmacy world, like we're at this precipice where, there's 20,000 independent community pharmacies out there. People don't realize it's really a lot in these rural areas. And if there is no independent community pharmacy there, then there is nobody to help with the medicines. And if people are really sick, they need these medications before we can do the lifestyle changes and the other things. So they're necessary. My mission is to deprescribe 1 million unnecessary medicines, because we know there's a lot of those, because we can make lifestyle changes to make them unnecessary. Absolutely. We can take people off this stuff that they don't need. So I love that. I love that because it's so impactful and so important for people to realize we are in a new world, and chaos sometimes is needed for real change to happen. Like for this is what, like, where all these VC capital, like I can't even name on these fingers how many times that's actually worked out for the better, where we throw, because like you and I feel it, like it's like we're purpose centered, like purpose over profits, not profits then purpose. And when
you definitely have so much profit with purpose. It's not independent one from the other.
Right.
You can definitely still have profits.
Well, I would say profit's not a dirty word.
It's not. Yeah.
But
no.
Because you can't help people if you're not if your doors aren't open. But the more you make is the more you can help. But when I feel when you flip the priority of profit first, it does mix up the energy. Like that's why we're practitioners. We're going to help people so we can make a good world, do good in the world, and do good for it, right? And so we have places where physicians can go, yes, everything is molding and changing and doing. And so what do you want people to know?
I think people should sort of realize, which is a hard pill to swallow. Now we're talking about pills and things, but we are not victims. We truly are the creators. And that can be very challenging because it's so much easier to blame everybody. The government, the doctors, everybody for like our problems that, nobody's helping, and, this is happening to me and it's actually happening for you. So when we switch how we think about things and like that things happen for us, and that there is a lesson, there is something we can grow from whatever we are going through, then we can truly start to build a life that we want. And instead of focusing on what you don't want, we got to start focusing and doing what you do want. That's actually very different, because we can all hear all day how, I don't like this, I don't want this, but like, what do you want? So when we start thinking like, what do I want? I'm not a victim, I'm a creator. And then taking the steps to then get to that goal or that place you want to be, that is a much different place than when you're just blaming everybody. And again, also going back to basics, of course, there are some things that, maybe genetic or you have truly no control of, but there's so much even with that you can control. And again, when you go back to those basic pillars of, nutrition, what are you eating? Because so many people, first of all, it's really challenging. Even when you try to be healthy, everything's added with added sugar, which is just terrible for your microbiome, for your mental health, for everything. It really changes everything, but everything's loaded with sugar and salt and oil. So when you start trying to eliminate that, you're going to feel better. Your medical problems are going to go away, because guess what? Your high blood pressure, diabetes, and cholesterol, which is plaguing most of America, it goes away when you choose foods, fresh is best, and really rainbow. The color of the food should be rainbow-like. It should not be tan or white. It should be full of orange and yellow and purple and green. I mean, when you add that to your diet, all these things just get better. So again, going to the basic things of nutrition, looking at labels like your life depends on it, because it does. I mean, learning how to read a label and understanding the sugars and the salt and the oils and the high corn fructose syrup that is not helping you, really eliminating that and adding the fresh, adding water as your beverage. I mean, we're 60-70% water beings. So you need water. So water is essential. Sleep is essential. What are you doing daily to mitigate your stress? It has to be an active thing. You can't just passively say, oh yeah, no, what are you doing? Are you setting time every day to decrease your stress, whether it's with prayer, journaling, meditation, movement, whatever you like to call it and want to do, it's really important every day that you set up that quiet time to do that. You don't have to be religious. I mean, spirituality has nothing to do with religion, but really tapping into a higher power. If you believe in one, and even if you don't, just having time to journal, to write things out instead of yelling at your neighbor. Maybe just write it down and burn it. And that will just release those emotions. And then you can just let go of them and start with a place of love. So that has to be part of, your daily routine. Connection, having connection with loved ones, with friends, and really that social component is huge to, again, decrease the rates of medical problems that come from loneliness. It really is it's going to be a disease to be lonely. So that connection is essential. And, a purpose is essential. Think about your purpose, and it doesn't have to be to save the world. It could be, maybe you want to volunteer with saving chickens or whatever it is that, can give you a purpose every day to get you up in the morning. That sense of purpose not only increases your lifespan, but it's just going to bring you joy, and giving back in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be money. It could be, skills. It could be a listening ear. There's so much we can give back. And when we do that, again, our life transforms, and then we start living in a different way. Then again, the disease and that victimhood and, the stress and this worry, because we're not actively, scheduling all these things or being mindful of the choices we make every day. Again, going back to mindfulness is mindfulness of what are we thinking? What are we saying? What are we ingesting in our bodies, in our mind, our spirit? I mean, those are, choices we have to make or we don't make. We either stay in autopilot and then we become all these diseases and problems, or we are mindful. We really choose it. We really say, okay, is this thing we're going to eat going to help me in any way? Or should I choose something healthier today? So instead of going for the package and the frozen and the easy and the fast, can I just get a fruit as a snack? I mean, that can be just something so simple, but it's going to get rid of all the salt and all the sugar and all the oil that is in those packaged foods. And it's just going to make you feel better. When you feel better, everything looks, your outlook in life, the ability to think about things is so much different. So again, pay attention to what you're consuming, your ears, what you're listening to, what are you reading, who are you talking to, who's in your circle. Do we have to get rid of people that are, the Debbie Downers, the negatives that are just not helping? And as painful as it may be, it just may be necessary to do some pruning of your circle, of your environment, to make it something that is healing. You can't heal if you're in the middle of the circus and it's negative and it's, stress. That's not going to help you heal. So we have to think of all these factors in our environment as well.
Man, there's so much in there. I hope people can rewind and because it's do the simple first. Don't go complicated. And then I love the pruning, right? When you prune a tree, it grows faster, right? So we have to prune. There's necessary things to end in order for things to bloom, right? Pruning. So I love the analogy of the tree, right? Pruning these associations and these relationships in our lives. It's not that you don't love them, but they're not energizing. The way I look at it in my filter these days is it depleting me or is it regenerating? Is it adding to me? Right? Is it energizing me? So those energizing things I go towards, and the things that aren't, it's kind of an easy filter because we all know inside of us, right? You said save the chickens. Who cares? Doesn't matter what it is as long as it's for you and it's doing good for you and the world for the greater good. But we all know inherently the truth to that. And that's a big stage. So I'm a big fan of coaching. I'm a big fan of mentors. I just say the best of the world have had many coaches, because what you said is not easy. Like, well, it's not hard, but it's also not easy. Like it's simple. So talk to people about your experience and what you can do or what others can do, because I like the 80-20 rule. 20% of people can do it yourself. 80% of people need accountability. It's just what we need in order to succeed in life. And so there's a lot what you said here that's so beautiful for people that can do, because it's low cost or no cost. Much of this stuff, like just change your food is not, it's easy to understand, but how do we go from that thinking brain into the doing so we can become healthier? What do you think about like this thing called life coach, health coach, like having someone alongside of you running next to you in this journey towards more whole, more healthy person?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the very successful people would not just have one coach. They have a health coach and a business coach and a marketing coach. And like they have so many coaches. Coaching is not a dirty word either. You know, it's just somebody that's going to help you from A to Z. So what is your goal you want? And then, you know, get there with some help, because likely that other person, that coach, has been there, understands like the setbacks, the tools that can help to get you from A to Z. And I think that is the whole beauty of all this. Like when we've gone through something challenging, whatever it is, a loss, grief, burnout, whatever it is, you know, we sort of, let's say, conquered it, went through it, and there's no other way than through it. So you have to get through it and then learn some lessons along the way. And now that you're in this part of the bridge, that you crossed it, then help people like come along with you and guide them and walk with them. And I love this quote from Ram Dass. It says like, we're all just walking each other home. So as we go through these challenges, like let's walk each other home. Let's hold each other and help each other. And absolutely, like, you know, sometimes doing it alone, there's no accountability. There's no, you know, you kind of fall down. You're like, oh, it's just easier to go back to your old ways, because that's a lot less work and less resistance to go back to the old way. But when you have that accountability, you know, that is huge and that's really important. And so, yes, always having somebody that can guide you, hold you accountable can definitely be a great way to get started when you feel like, oh, I don't know what to do. You know, how can I do this alone? That's the beauty of life, is like having each other to help us and guide us when they've already gone through it. So I think that is fantastic. And again, you may need a coach, you may need a therapist, you may need like a spiritual guide. I mean, all these things is not just one or the other. You can have all to really guide you, because again, we're multidimensional. It's not just the thought work. It's not just, you know, what we're thinking. It's like, what's the spiritual component? What is the physical component? I mean, what's the energetic component? All this is all part of us. We're not just one or the other. So when you can tap into these things, then it can definitely make you more successful as well. So, you know, be open, be curious. And I mean, that's sort of challenging when you're in stress, because when you're stressed out and you cannot be curious and open, that sort of goes against it. But you kind of have to tap into that a little bit, like, okay, what can I lose by not doing it? Likely a lot more than staying where you are. So really just give it a chance, try things out. And you know, you can't be worse than where you are, likely. So try things out. And I think, you know, when you try, then you'll learn something from that. You know, maybe it wasn't the best thing. Maybe you want to do it differently. But we got to be willing to try, to have courage, and really do it from a place of love. And again, it's like self-love, like my health, my physical, mental, spiritual, energetic health. Like that's really important. So we got to really start from there.
Beautiful. The body as a whole, like body, mind, spirit, it's all there. If you don't like the word spirit, just say energy, right? It's just an energy thing. Mm-hmm. And so that's amazing. Before we wrap up and talk to people about how they can find you and where you're at, like, is there anything else you want people to know or to do right now? Is there one thing you want people to know? If they know one thing, what would it be?
Yeah, truly just make that time every day in your day for you, again, to like stop that stress cycle. So it's really important. Things are not going to get better if you don't change something. So if you keep doing the same thing, that's basically the definition of insanity, expecting a different result. So something has to change. And again, for my journey, what had to change is like putting that time and attention. Like, what am I putting my time and attention? Like, doing an audit of your day. Like, what are you consuming? Again, what are you putting your attention to? because like we pay attention to, like the energy follows there. So
yeah.
figure that out, make a little daily audit and realize like, oh, I'm spending, 8 hours on Facebook like news or listening to some inflammatory news channel. And how is that helping me? It likely is not, helping. So instead of doing that, maybe I can spend 30 minutes going for a walk or going outside or, catching up with my friend or, doing something else that can truly, again, let's run to and go towards things that energize us and fill us up and fill up our cup instead of the things that stress us and deplete us and it's not helping us. So make that time every day. It has to be scheduled. Otherwise you're not going to do it for, your well-being. And then again, realize, be the creator. You can definitely do it. Like stop blaming the whole world for your current situation. What do you have control over? And that's you. And then just take that courage and the step to do that. And it can be like, don't get overwhelmed. Just do one change at a time. Do it slowly. But when you are doing something, anything, just be mindful. Be mindful of the choices for your food, the choices for your lack of movement or movement. Be mindful of the words you're using, talking about yourself, about others. Words truly matter. They have energy. And so when we put things out there, where are they coming from? From love or from hate or fear, division? Like pay attention to that. And definitely develop a gratitude practice. The more you have a gratitude practice of like, what are you grateful for? The more you will find things to be grateful for. And the more your like life and day is going to change. So you don't have to have a fancy journal. You don't have to. You could just think about it throughout the day. I'm grateful for this, or you can just write it down if that's easier. Writing down also has a lot of power. So start those practices. They're free. Again, they're easy. You don't have to have some, spend tons of money on some this or that, but just start those small changes and you will see a change in yourself. Others will notice it. And you're just going to be also just healthier by making those small changes.
Beautiful, beautiful way to end this beautiful conversation because it is free or low cost. And I love when people say like, I don't have enough time. It's like, well, we all have the same amount of time. So
yeah, and that's a scarcity mindset. I mean, we hear that all the time. We don't have enough. We have plenty. Again, when we pay attention to those words, I don't have enough. I don't have enough time. Then it starts sort of spiraling in everything in life. We don't have enough love. We don't have enough hope. We don't have enough of anything. But the reality is like, we have so much time. We really do. And again, if you don't believe it, do an audit of your day and see how much time we're spending on other things, and you realize like the abundance of time. So pay attention to the words, realize like what you're saying becomes your reality, and really just start changing the way you use your words. And maybe that's the biggest change you're going to make in this podcast is like paying attention to your words when you say, I don't have enough of something. And then just stop yourself and realize like, oh no, I have plenty of time. Maybe I can just switch that word. And how is that going to change how you see your day every day? So I love that you brought that up because that's huge. I hear it so frequently. I don't have enough time.
Well, and it's beautiful. Like perception is literally your reality. So beautiful, beautiful. How do people find you if they want to find you? Are you LinkedIn, Facebook.com? What you got?
Yeah, thank you. So I usually live on LinkedIn, so just find me there, Diana Londono, or you can just go to my website, Diana Londono MD, like medical doctor. .com. And, you can learn more about me if you're in California and you want to come, to, my practice, which I'm switching to basically, whole person care, telemedicine, and hopefully some in person to really dive deep into these things where I spend time to like talk to you and ask your questions and teach you and, maybe go into these different modalities that may be helpful for you. But definitely really spending that time listening, taking care of you as a whole person and diving deeper into these things that are going to get you back to health, not just urologically, but you're going to see the changes and other facets of your health. Because again, I'm not just here to help urologically. I'm here to understand your whole person and how is one thing affecting the other and how we can make everything better. So I really hope, if this resonates, check it out, Diana Londono MD or LinkedIn. But yeah, hopefully you make those changes today. Don't get overwhelmed, one step at a time, and just remember that you're worthy and take care of yourself.
Oof, that was a mic drop. I love that. That's beautiful. True healer here, guys. This is amazing. Thank you so much for being on this. I love these conversations. There's so many beautiful parallels, but more importantly, just thank you for what you're doing and who you're helping in this world, because I truly believe this is where true healing does happen in people like you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
Stay well. Thanks for joining me today on Beyond the Pills. If our mission to de-prescribe 10 million unnecessary medications resonates with you, share this episode, subscribe, and leave a review. Whether you're a practitioner or someone ready to reclaim your health, visit rx2wellness.com for free resources to begin your journey. Together, let's go beyond the pills and co-create a world of vibrant health and true healing. Until next time, live better and stay well.